With each new day, we can observe that the world is increasingly heading towards ruin. There are certain signs, certain teachings that would reveal to us when we are living in the last days. And my brother, my sister, I can state that we are indeed living in these final days. We are on the verge of the end times. And today, through the Bible, I will show you that this is happening. Stay until the end of this message, so you can gain knowledge of the truth, so it can open your eyes, remove all scales, and you can be blessed and see what is actually happening in the world. Consider what 2 Timothy 3 tells us, starting with verse 1, it says, I ask you today, when the Bible speaks of men, it refers to both men and women. When the Bible says that men will love themselves, if you look at the world today, you see that people are loving themselves, but it's not just self-love, it's an excessive love, a love of falling in love with themselves to the point of forgetting everyone else and focusing solely on themselves, to the point of being selfish, proud, and not caring for anyone, neglecting the commandment to love God above all and to love thy neighbor as thyself. Do you see this in society today? Well, let's continue. It goes on to say, they will be even more greedy. Do we see greed today? Absolutely. Continuing, arrogant, presumptuous, blasphemous, disrespectful to parents. Today there are many rebellious children, because there are many who want to rule over their father and mother, from a young age, and as they grow up without being corrected it only gets worse. This, my brother, is for you to see that we are indeed living in the last days, and it continues saying, ungrateful, wicked, without love, unable to forgive. How many people do you know who have a hardened heart, the hardness in their heart? Maybe you who are listening to this message are someone who has not yet managed to forgive someone who hurt you, who wronged you, who saddened you, who failed you. Or you have not been able to ask God for forgiveness until today. This is a sign, and it continues, unable to forgive, slanderers. There are many today slandering others, there are many swindlers, there are many with malicious intent. My brother, with each passing day this world is getting worse, it is moving more and more towards the abyss, and it's not over yet. It talks more, without self-control, people can't control themselves. The unchecked desire of the flesh screams and people let it win. You cannot let, my brother, the desires of your flesh speak louder than the desire of the Spirit. You cannot let your flesh overcome the Spirit. If you are being overcome by your own wills, by your own sinful and carnal desires, you lack self-control. And what we see more and more today, people plunging into sin, and I tell you, many are within the church, and even more. Oh my brother, open your ears, I will tell you more. There are many religious leaders who cannot exercise self-control. So my brother, I ask you, are we living in the last days or not? And look, continuing. Cruel enemies of good. Then there's a war between Israel and Palestine, where people are brutally killed, in the worst ways possible, and there are people who defend terrorists, and there are people who support these groups full of cruelty, full of wickedness. My brother, to what point have we come? People defending governments that are massacring the people, people defending wars where innocent lives are being taken. Is there cruelty? Are there enemies of the good? Pause and reflect with me, my brother, this is very serious. This message is of utmost importance because it opens your eyes, it makes you see what you perhaps were not seeing, and it continues, traitors, reckless, proud. There are many proud people out there, individuals who won't budge from their beliefs, who cannot stand being contradicted in any way, who refuse to accept differing opinions, people who think they are above everyone else, proud people, traitors, people who betray their wife, their husband, who betray the trust of their friends and relatives. There are many betrayers today. And it continues, there are more lovers of pleasure than lovers of God, with a form of godliness, but denying its power, meaning, they love the pleasures of the flesh more than God himself. There are believers, my brother, don't be deceived, there are believers who carry the Bible under their arm, but are closer friends to pleasures than to God, and you need to open your eyes to see this, not to watch your neighbor's life, but so when you look around, you can understand what's happening, not to live in a bubble, in your own little world, but to understand that everything happening around you is showing, is indicating what? That we are in the last days. And then it says, turn away from such people, because it's such individuals who worm their way into homes and captivate weak-willed women weighed down with sins, led astray by various desires. they are always learning but never able to come to a knowledge of the truth. They never reach it, they're always learning a little about everything, but never arrive at the truth about God. They don't want to learn. So look at all the signs that you and I have to recognize what is happening around us. It's a sign of the last days. It says at the beginning that in the last days terrible times will come, my brother. At any moment a third world war could start, brother. There are countries at war everywhere, governments oppressing people on all sides, nations are falling, people love themselves more, they love pleasures more than they love God, people are full of pride, greed, arrogance, blasphemy. Look at all the signs. We have to understand that when we see this, it's a sign that we are living in the last days. But thousands, hundreds of years ago there was also much of this. But today, my brother, on the same level, do you think we have not surpassed Sodom and Gomorrah? Brother, there are places in the world that have surpassed Sodom and Gomorrah long ago. Remember when Jesus said to that city, to those people, that not even for Sodom and Gomorrah would there be so much severity in judgment. If at that time Jesus was saying this, imagine in today's days, what would Jesus, if he were coming at this time, say to us, to our society? If back then he spoke thus, imagine today, my brother. But what is the purpose of this message? To open your spiritual eyes so that you are not a Christian who is lost in the world, lost in the sense that you are surrounded by signs, surrounded by things that should show you the truth, but you fail to see, so you are not a Christian blinded, with scales on your eyes, blocking your sight and preventing you from seeing that Jesus is near, that at any moment he will come to gather the saved, and we must be vigilant, for we need to be right with God and be cautious of all these things. If you identify with any of these, when you are on this channel, you must open your heart to hear the message, so the Holy Spirit can speak to you and show you what you need to correct. Because if your mind is not open, my brother, the word strikes and bounces back, and then the effect, the power of God in your life does not occur. So, today, stop, take the book of 2 Timothy 3, meditate on it thoroughly, look at this list, note it down, write, see what you might find in yourself, and say, God, I have been too presumptuous, God, I am too arrogant, my God, I am loving the pleasures of my flesh more than you, I do not spend time with you, I do not meditate on your word, I do not pray, but everything that is a pleasure of the flesh, I want. Do a reflection, a self-examination, search, and if you find nothing, my brother, continue to strengthen, continue to stand firm. Now when you see these things happening around you, you will remember, this is a sign, this is a demonstration that the end times are here, we are already living in the last days, and at any moment, no one knows the day or the hour, only God does. At any moment Jesus could return. It might still take hundreds of years, yes, it could be today, it could be tomorrow. It is up to us to be prepared and alert so that none of these things are found in us, so that none of this is found in us, but rather a straight, pure, obedient, God-fearing, and saved heart. May this message continue to speak and echo within you. Here I am leaving another video for you to continue feeding on the Word, learning more, because those do not come to the knowledge of the truth, but here on this channel, you come to the knowledge of the truth.